Biden isn't the only official who could pardon Trump. Former President Donald Trump is facing actual or potential criminal charges in 2 states, New York and Georgia. While each state has its own process for pardons and commutations, some states lodge those powers with their governor and some with a range of executive officials. Trump could only apply for a pardon in Georgia after he is indicted and convicted, and only after 5 additional years have passed since completion of his sentence. In both New York and Georgia, therefore, a politically motivated pardon is not in the cards. If a federal indictment issues, the law around the presidential pardon power is less clear. Trump is currently embroiled in 3 criminal probes at the federal level. Given the precedent set by President Gerald Ford's pardon of a disgraced former president, Richard Nixon, there will be considerable pressure on President Joe Biden to pardon Trump should he be indicted and convicted. As a matter of historical precedent, Ford broke new ground by pardoning Nixon before any charges were brought, ushering in a modern norm of presidential unaccountability. The same logic could hold true for Trump. He is the frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024, and a federal trial would likely stretch past the election. Naturally, clemency for the first indicted former president in American history would be measured against a long tradition of presidents issuing pardons in the name of amnesty or in order to heal the nation after times of crisis. Long before Ford pardoned Nixon, Presidents Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Johnson both pardoned Confederate soldiers en masse after the Civil War, with Johnson explaining that his action would renew and fully restore confidence and fraternal feeling among the whole people, and their respect for the attachment to the national government, designed by its patriotic founders for the general good. As for the possibility of a presidential self-pardon, it's a highly speculative option. It's possible that Trump could try to pardon himself with a pocket pardon. That is, Trump may have issued himself a self-pardon while he was president and squirreled it away in a desk drawer or storage closet for use in rebuffing possible federal charges down the line. No court has yet considered the question of whether presidents can pardon themselves, even for crimes committed in the Oval Office. Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution states of impeachment, which is the most apparent remedy for presidential wrongdoing in office, that the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment, according to law. The U.S. president's pardon power derives from medieval England, originating between 668 and 725 A.D. The English monarch's pardon power was not unlimited. By the time of the American Revolution, the power was shared with the Parliament and the Church of England. The Supreme Court later recognized a number of constraints on the pardon power, including that pardons cannot otherwise offend the Constitution. A pardon cannot require the government to refund money paid into the Treasury as part of a defendant's sentence, for example, as only Congress has the power of the purse under the Constitution's Appropriations Clause. Presidents cannot encroach on that prerogative via the pardon power, even though no such limitation is explicit in the text of the Constitution. The court could certainly see fit to justify additional limits, such as a ban on self-pardons, if it were presented with that question. In justifying a broad pardon power for the president, Alexander Hamilton assuaged detractors in Federalist No. 69 that the president's power would be much inferior to that of the despised King George III. Whether Hamilton was correct, or whether modern presidents have in fact become kings, is a question that Trump's record of epic wrongdoing in office has forced the country to face head-on, once again.